thank you to everybody for joining in this chat. And thank you so much to Utopia Theatre for organizing and bringing this event together. And everybody, just a little bit of Zoom etiquette. If you could all make sure that your mics are off, so that we could be able to hear both I and John speak. And if you have any questions at all, please write them in the chat. And then towards the end, about 15 minutes before the hour, you can get a chance to ask John your questions. So before we get started, I'm just going to introduce the main man of the hour, John. I'm going to tell you a little bit about John, but then we're going to find out more about him as we go on. So John is a Ugandan-born, London-trained, and Sheffield-bred and based actor, writer, and director. For him, theatre is more than just entertainment. There is a reason behind staging anything. You know, it has to educate, it has to question the narrative and change attitudes. And his aim is to bring African stories, culture, and history into the canvas. And so that's just a little tiny bit about John. And I'm going to start. Thank you. And John, I would like us to start with the foundation of you deciding to get into theatre. When was that and why?
Hello, Sile, hello. And yeah, again, thank you, Utopia Theatre, for having us. This is incredible. It's an amazing program that's been running. I'm so glad to be a part of it. Theatre, when did it start? I first performed when I was 9 years old in Uganda. I played, like we have witch doctors in the African culture, and I played the assistant to the witch doctor. And I loved it. I thought it was incredible. It was one of those days like my mom, bought me this new clothes just to do that performance, and I was so excited about that. And that stayed with me. Fast forward some years later, here in the UK, I do theatre from year 7 to year 9, and in year 10 you have to choose, if anybody's watching from Uganda, that is O level into, you have to choose I was in pathway 2, where you had to choose either a performing arts or a GCS or a sports, sort of one of the two. I chose sports. I was a sports guy of the school. That's what I chose. BTEC. I chose BTEC sports. But the administrators made a mistake and put me down for BTEC performing arts instead. And I was like, you know what? Let's keep it. I'm just going to stay with that because I like it. I enjoy it. So I ended up doing BTEC performing arts for my GCSEs instead of BTEC sports. That then, and it was my best results. Like I loved it. I enjoyed it. That then took me to A level. I did A level drama. Again, I wanted to be an engineer. That was the thing, in African culture, I've seen this so many times, you're either doctor, lawyer, engineer, or a disgrace to the family, So for me, it was to be an engineer. My brother is an engineer. He's great at it and it suits him. Partly, I guess I wanted to be an engineer to please my dad. So looking back now, but then I did physics. And I was like, okay, no, that's not for me. I did it for 2 months and I just quit. I completely quit. And a lovely A-level drama teacher had a chat with me and said that you have to apply for drama school because they thought I was good enough. And that's where it came from, really. That's where I really thought about it, sat down and said, okay, let me have a look at what is drama school? What does that even mean? What does it look like? And that's when I started having a look and applied.
And do you think that if you had done sports instead of drama, would you still have pursued drama in the way that you have?
I honestly don't know. I think, how old was I? Well, I think around 15. I was part of this program where they got us to draw your goal and what inspires you and what you want to achieve. For me, because sports was such a big part of my life at the time. And Jessica Ennis, I adored her. I adored her. And in terms of performing arts, it was Denzel Washington in terms of theater. So I drew a picture of the Olympic rings, and I drew a picture of an Oscar, sort of side by side. And I was like, I don't know which one. I would end up, if I did sports, I don't know. I think it would be different. Eventually, I think I still would have ended up in doing, theater or some sort of storytelling career. But it would have been a different journey completely, of course.
Yes, now I would love to know the process of applying for drama school. Was it an easy process for you? Because we hear a lot about thousands of students applying for drama school, and it seems like it's very competitive. How did you feel going through that whole process of applying?
Honestly, I knew nothing about drama school, which I think worked in my favor. So when people audition to drama school, there's all this overwhelming fear, and it's a big deal. It's a massive, massive deal. To me, it was the next thing I needed to do. So I didn't have this, it's a massive deal thing going on in my head, because I didn't know much about it. I had people, Jody Marshall, who runs A Mind Apart, very influential at the time to help me out, learn about drama school and stuff. So, and the other thing was money. I had no money. I mean, it costs a lot. You gotta travel, then you gotta pay for the auditions and everything. So because of that, I only auditioned, really to one place. I auditioned to two places. The first place, I went there, arrived, entered the drama school, the buildings, and I was just like, nope, I'm not coming here. This is not for me. This doesn't work for me. I do not see myself spending 3 years in this building. Did the audition, and I got a recall, but I didn't pay for my audition. So I got a recall, and they said, you can come back as long as you pay for the first round of your audition. I was like, well, no, thank you, because I don't want to go there anyway. So I was like, I didn't go back. And then I went to Rose Bruford. Soon as I walked in, I was like, I'm either coming here or I'm coming here. This is the place for me. I just knew immediately from walking in. And I auditioned there, got into the second round, and eventually got a place. And so for me, my experience was I didn't do the thing of visiting 10 drama schools and comparing and doing all that, partly because I didn't have money. Mainly, I couldn't afford to do that. So I put all my energy into what I could afford at the time, and that was just making sure that one audition worked.
What did you audition with? What was the piece that you auditioned with?
God, you're taking me back here. I mean, this is 2012. Wow. I auditioned with the Changeling, a piece from the Changeling. It's a classic play, wonderful monologue by De Flores. I don't know. I'm maybe speaking Chinese, different language here. And the other piece was from a what is it called? It will come back to me.
It's okay. I'm taking you way back, so it's absolutely fine.
Take me back.
Yeah. So when you applied and you got in, what was your family saying? Because you said earlier, like, do you know, a lot of African parents, like, drama is not a vocation you go to as your like primary thing. So when you told your parents, like, I've got into drama school, what was their reaction like?
I didn't tell them. They found out via the radio. I was doing an interview I was going because I volunteered for the Olympics that year, so I was on BBC Radio, Sheffield, and they were asking me what I'm doing after the Olympics. I was like, oh, I'm going to drama school. And then my parents were listening to that. And that's how they found out that I'd gotten in. But to my surprise, to be honest, my dad called me straight after the interview. And he said, why didn't you tell us? That's amazing. So I was really surprised to hear that, because my assumption was, you don't do that. That is not something you do. And he supported it. Which was really helpful for me, sort of moving forward and not feeling any sort of shame or needing to please anyone. Now, if that happened now, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, that's what I'm doing, But then, of course, it's a different time.
And so take us through training in London. Now, I want you to talk us through a day in the life of John at Rose Bruford College of Performing Arts. Sorry.
You there?
So take us through a day in the life of you at college.
I mean, it depends on the year. I mean, first year was crazy. First year, I think my year group, there was 30 of us. We all remember our bodies being torn apart in the first sort of month or two, where like the physical training was incredible. So you come in the morning, do half an hour's warm up, and then you have a 90-minute either voice, acting, or movement lesson, where some would be 3 hours, but they would spread out throughout the day. And in each of those, you're working. There was like a 90-minute theory we had once a week. That's as much theory as you had. Everything else was practical. And it took time for your body, your voice, and just mentally to switch and be in that world. Second year becomes a bit more, you have more prep for stuff to perform, to make. So we looked at Shakespeare, then we looked at some traditional sort of style theater. But the performance, so you'd be broken into 10-week blocks. You have 5 weeks of, for example, with Shakespeare, you have 5 weeks of training and being taught how to perform Shakespeare, how to work on the text, create character, and all that stuff. And then the latter part of the 10 weeks, the other 5 weeks would be prepping for a performance where you create a piece of Shakespeare or a classic, something like that. Then third year is all about performance, everything mainly about performance. It's looking at I think the first season was so we had a new writing season, classical season, and post 19th century text season. So you're looking at a diverse range of theater, really. And the great thing about third year is they brought in an outside director who was a professional in the industry to work with you. And Rose Bruford is amazing in the sense that it doesn't just have acting. There's lots of different courses. So there's costume, there's stage management, there's lighting design. So in third year, you all come together to work on projects, but with an outside professional director, which was pretty cool.
Did you think that helped you go into the professional world? Whereas, as you said again, you're not just working with actors when you go to the professional world. You're working with costume designs. You're working with staging and lighting and people like that. So did that prepare you for the going into the real acting world outside of school?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I think it does, because when you leave the beauty. Drama school is not the only way in. There's lots of way in, but the beauty of going to drama school is when you leave, you stuff, simple things that I didn't even know, took for granted at the time. Stuff like spotlight, you automatically get that. If you're not trained, it's very hard for you. You need to have certain criteria you need to fit to just be on spotlight. And then you're already connected to directors that are working in the industry. There's a showcase that you do that agents come to and have a look. Yes, there's an opportunity there. Doesn't mean you're going to get an agent. Doesn't mean you're going to get a job immediately, but you're already playing at a higher playing field than somebody who hasn't, done that. So it helped definitely, but understanding how, I think working with like stage management, costume and lighting designs and everything, understanding what their process is as well and what they go through. You don't really do that as an actor in the industry. You very much focused on telling the story. Actors come in, I think, when 80% of the work has been done. You don't see much background work. So that prepped me definitely and it helped.
And during drama school, did you explore any African theatre, African text, African actors and actresses?
Nope. No. I all my time at drama school, I only ever played. I'm trying to think. In terms of being cast, I played one black role, which was an incredible role at the end. African theater does not exist in drama schools. It just does not exist. The closest I came to that was a very small section in the library on black plays. Not African plays, a very small section on black plays, which then had one or two African plays. That was it. I mean, I was 18 when I went to drama school and very much working out who I am as a person, just being dropped into this drama school world. So I wasn't thinking about African plays. I wasn't thinking about, it's something that now is a very, I think, no, I do not think, I know is a very big part of what I do. Would have liked to have more of that at drama school? Yes, of course. Would have liked to learn from not even just African, not African, but black. Because the black voice, the black body, it's very different it's a very different style of performance. It wasn't there, and I think we missed that in the drama schools here. We are okay to teach stuff about, we're okay to look at Lecoq, French theater. We're okay to look at Russian theater. We're okay to look, not a lot of theater we look at originates from Britain, from England. What's taught is imported rather. And I think African theater should be a part of that. Because African theater is very different. It's got a very different dynamic, which I think would add. I'm not talking about, not just for the African actors or students, for everybody. I think there's something African theater has to give, which would uplift theater. It's a shame it doesn't. Not there.
And do you think, having organizations like Utopia Theatre and other Black-led theatre and actors like you being more prominent, being more visible, being more seen, that drama schools are going to do a little turn and think, hold on a minute, there's a gap that we're missing? And do you think they're going to start looking at implementing some of Black theatre in their schools?
I'd say I hope. I think that change comes from stuff like what Utopia Theatre is doing at the moment. And I think the education, if it's to happen, is going to happen from that. Universities, I believe, are more likely to do it than drama schools. It would take drama schools, I think, a much longer time, unless something radical is to take place, unless companies like Utopia Theatre, Talawa, just rise up and maybe create a drama school that is perhaps dedicated to that, unless that is to happen. I personally don't see that happening very soon in terms of drama schools taking on. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm happy to be challenged and for somebody to, well, if somebody thinks otherwise, I would love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, so after drama school, what happened next? What was your goal? So you finished, you've done your 3 years. Is it when you started looking at developing and looking into African theatre, or did you look at something else first?
No, I mean, I finished drama school. I trained as an actor. All I was thinking was to be an actor. That's what I trained to be, and that's what I'm going to be. So I stayed in London, did 1 or 2 jobs there as an actor, and realized very quickly that it wasn't manageable financially. It just wasn't viable. So I mean, I was lucky, got an agent which helped me, into some auditions and whatnot. But I wasn't making enough money. So I moved back to Sheffield, and the plan moving back to Sheffield was to come stay with my parents for like 2 months, then head back to London, just come recoup, head back to London. But then I just loved Sheffield. I think Sheffield hugs you, because I missed it. I went to drama school for 3 years, came back. And that's when the idea sort of came to me, like, if I'm in Sheffield, I don't just have to be an actor. I could look into doing other stuff as well. And around the same time as well, myself and my agent, things weren't working. So that relationship sort of went its way. And yeah, I picked up a play, But Blues, by Paul Serret then. Well, by Paul Serret. And I was like, why don't I attempt to direct this? How do I go about that? And that's when I went to Theatre Delhi. I'm ever so indebted to Theatre Delhi for everything, for where I am. Thank you. And they helped me. They talked me through the ABCs of what I needed to do to direct a play. And what do you know? I'm applying for Arts Council, getting it, and being given this wonderful opportunity to direct a play. And that's when I thought about, okay, in Sheffield, I could be an actor and a director and maybe a writer. Yeah.
Now, directing, how did you find doing it?
It was a challenge. Oh, it was a challenge. It's still, I mean, I've got a lot to learn in all the disciplines, a lot to learn. I respect directors because it's not easy. I mean, we had 10 days. So, no, 13 days from day 1 of rehearsals to the last day of performance, 3 days of show. So we had 10 days to rehearse a show. I'd never directed before. Wonderful, it was a 2-person show, because if it was more than that, I don't know how we would have managed. But those challenges really, I learned a lot from them. They taught me a lot about, that's where I learned most how theatre really works and how much work really goes into putting on a piece of theatre. I'm still learning, there's still a lot of learning to do, but directing, I think, was a very important sort of moment for me to go, okay, this is a piece of art, and to create it takes so much time and so much preparation that as an actor I had never seen before, because I was just coming in,
You did line, yeah. And we're going to look at directing a bit further, because then you got to be an assistant director for a much bigger production. But first, I want to get into a play that you are well known for, which is Fargone. Tell us the story of Fargone, how you started writing it, looking at it, and then how it developed to the big production that it is now.
Fargone is, it's the thing I'm most proud of as a person, and the team is incredible. The team played a big part in creating this fantastic piece, I think, and yeah, I'm again indebted to them for doing that. How it came about, So there's a very slightly little bit about it that is based on something that happened to me when I was 8. So for people that don't know, Fargone is a play that looks at a child soldier's story in the north of Uganda, from him being kidnapped. We follow him through to him being turned into a killing machine, a child soldier. So when I was 8, I nearly got kidnapped, and it was by the same rebel group that we look at in Fargone. And I think that stayed with me. Fast forward in 2012, first year of drama school at Rwoth, I hear the Connie 2012 campaign. Might have heard about it. And I was like, this campaign is wrong. Everything about it is a lie. It's more of a money-making scheme, if anything. And that's when the idea came to me that I need to write a play about this. I need to tell a story about this experience. And sort of left it then. And then when I came to Sheffield after drama school, after directing Bad Bad Blues, the next thing was now, okay, I want to tell another play. I want to direct another play, but I want it to be, I want somebody else to write it. Something that's newly written. So I pitched the idea to Paul Sile because I loved what I just directed his play and I loved it. I loved his style of writing and I thought he would do a great job. And he told me, no. The only person who can write that play is you. So he challenged me to write a play. And I was like, what? This is new territory. Acting, directing, now writing. Yeah. And took on the challenge. And I was like, if I'm going to write it, then I can't direct it. Long and behold, there was a lady known as Moji Sola Elu. At the time, Kareem, but now Elu Fowuju. I think I got that right. I hope I have. Who was willing to take on the directing job. And thank you so much. And yeah, so it was, writing the play was really a combination of me, Moji, and Kareem. Moji, myself, Moji, and Paul having chats and conversations. Paul worked as a dramaturge on it, and Moji directed it, of course. So it was a constant battle and a very collaborative process to create the script that we did. And then, yeah.
Now, when you talk about the process, we do have to, I want to put an imagery in a lot of our audience's mind. I did do like a little report when I used to work for Radio, well, I still work for Radio Sheffield, where I had to come and interview you for the play. And I walked into this rehearsal space and there were honestly pictures. So it was a very visual, pictures of different people in the army, because you were playing more than just one character. You were playing loads of different characters, a young boy, a brother, the sergeant, somebody who is a soldier. So you were playing so many different roles. And in this rehearsal space, there were visuals of different people, of the landscape and things like that. So I want you to talk a little bit about the practical aspect of bringing a play to life. So it's not just sitting around chatting. There's visuals that come to it. There's a lot of thinking and doing and moving. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean that rehearsal space was crazy. Once you left, different energy. Once you walked in, you knew you were in a space that was, don't know, is sacred the word, but there was something happening in that space every minute that was just magical, that was incredible. And that's because of the team, but also the person who was leading the team, Moji, having that plan and having that vision for the piece. And one thing that I think I did, and which was once I gave the play to Moji, I was like, this is yours. You're the director. Whatever you say, we'll try. We'll do. I'm just an actor. I'm not the writer. I'm the actor. And it was beautiful to see the ideas and what she did with it, and how she managed to sort of layer it moment by moment to bring it all together to create this wonderful result. In terms of playing the characters, oh my God, we spent so much time creating each individual character. I played 4 characters in the play, and each of them was so different, so distinct, so different from one another. And we spent as an actor, I would just spend time just focusing on one, as if I was only playing that one character, and just working out who they are physically, vocally, mentally, psychologically, how they think, just creating each individual character. And then the next challenge was then how do you go from one character to the next? And that was worked very closely with the movement director, Akim and Lilac, who in that transition, because it's one thing having the character and knowing it, being solid with it, but then it's another thing moving that character, that one character from character A to character B, B to C, C to D, or D to A, or D to C. It's a different, and mastering that. And then the third thing is, now once you've mastered that, is telling a story. And that's where everybody comes in. Moji, that's the sound designer, everybody just helping the story come to life. Wonderful.
And the play was very physical. Do you think that, as you said, you were trained in drama school, you had to learn to be physical and work with your body? Do you think that really helped you when you were having to work in this physical play, playing 4 different people and moving and working with this stage? Do you think that helped the training in drama school with that?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we focused a lot on Lecoq. There was a lot of Lecoq training at drama school, and there was a wonderful Russian movement director who just tore us to pieces. She was incredible, absolutely incredible.
What do you mean? What would happen? What would be happening? I want to know.
Oh, like we were like within 6 weeks or something, we were running on walls, jumping on, but the training was intense. Everybody loved it, but everybody cried after. It was you could not physically move. It was so intense, and she would not take any nonsense. She would not. But the discipline that she trained you physically to endure that pain and to be able to tell story just using your body without speaking, very, very important and pivotal in physical movement. And I love physical theater. I think it's you tell a story through your voice, but just physically without saying anything, or you can do a lot with your body to tell story, and that's quite prominent in African theater. And combining the two, if it works well, I think is a beauty to behold.
Amazing. Now you and your team in Fargone, you guys, you went to Uganda to perform. Can you tell us that process of you taking something that you'd created along with your team and all of you guys going to Uganda and performing there? What was the situation, why you were going to perform, and how did it go?
Uganda was incredible. Unfortunately, not the whole team could come, but for those, it was absolutely incredible. We went to a festival called Kampala International Theatre Festival. We applied to, and we were invited to go along. We opened it. We were the first performance that opened the festival, 2019, I believe. And the Ugandan audience was, I didn't know what to expect. I've never been so nervous performing. I mean, in Sheffield, we had done, I don't know, 8, so many shows in Sheffield. By the time we were going to Uganda, I was okay, cool. I've sort of got the rhythm of the play. I get it now. But no, we are going to Uganda, where the play is set, where the story is known, and these are my people, and these people are harsh critics. They're tough. They're tough critics. So, yeah, when we were there, the first night, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, as soon as I finished the last performance, everybody was up on their feet, sort of, clapping away.
How did you feel in that moment? You've just performed in your home country, a play that you have written. How did you feel when you've given it your all and everybody's excited? What went through your mind?
The first night we performed in Theatre Delhi, in Sheffield, and we had a standing ovation. I was like, wow, we've done something here. We've created something that people appreciate and understand. Now, going back to Uganda, that feeling multiplied by 100, if you like, because it was like a full circle for me. I left Uganda when I was 11, came to the UK, and that's where I sort of got my training, sort of created my identity as a theater maker. And then, 14 years later, going back to Uganda to perform. That was like, yeah, it made me think, actually, is there room to keep doing this? Is there room to create something that perhaps is created here, then tours in Uganda, or is created in Uganda, then comes here? It made me think. I'm not saying there is something, but it just made me think about that creating a link between the two continents in terms of theater productions.
That is beautiful. And there's also some charity work that you guys did with it as well. Can you just talk a little bit about the charity work that you did?
Yes. So we worked by Evelyn Lamont, who was one of Joseph Kony's wives. So she was a child soldier herself, abducted. And when she came out, she created this wonderful network charity that benefits and helps women, especially, get back on their feet. Women who were child soldiers get back on their feet and sort of help them get back to normal, if there is ever such a thing as that. And the reason for that, for me, is I think theater has to transcend beyond the stage. I tried to do that with Bud Blues, but couldn't. And I wanted to make sure that with Fargone that we did something. So what we do is it's on my website. You can donate if you can. That'd be great. But what we did with Fargone is the programs that we sold. All that money, we didn't take any of it. All the profits we made from there went straight to the Women's Advocacy Network. It's not life-changing, but a small contribution that we're giving. And as the play continues, continue doing that.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Now, you were hoping to tour Fargone, but unfortunately, the tour got cancelled the day before it was due to start due to COVID-19. How did you feel? You're ready, you're geared up, you're doing a little tour, and then boom, you can't do it no more.
Moji, I don't know if you remember this, but we were actually in rehearsals in London, getting ready to perform the next day. And that's when Sam goes on his phone. It's cancelled. Boris has just announced that all theatre should be cancelled. And we'd just driven to London the previous day from Sheffield. And we were like, okay, well, let's finish rehearsals.
So you finished rehearsals?
We still finished our rehearsals. It was, of course, disappointing, but a part of me expected it. I expected it I knew it was coming. I thought it would come later in the week. I didn't think it would come on the Monday. But yeah, I sort of kicked back and thought, wow, all this work we've done. It felt like so far Sheffield, the players played in Sheffield. It's gone to Uganda. London Vault Festival was sort of gonna be the first time sort of the wider industry in the UK had the opportunity to see it. And for that to be taken away from us just at the very last minute was disappointing. And it felt like that was gonna be all the hard work we had been doing for the last year or so, that was gonna be the big, massive reward, which we didn't get. But we shall come back. We shall come back.
Yes.
We are looking to rebook a tour, which I shall not say yet, but you shall know with time.
We'll be looking forward to that. Now, I'm also looking at time and thinking that I need to give space for our audience to give questions, but I've just got 2 more questions left. One has to do with being an assistant director of a much bigger production. As you said, first you were the director of Bad Blood Blues, and there were only 2 actors in it. Now, the one that you did who was much bigger, and you were the assistant director, was The Last King of Scotland, which it came out as a movie. It's a big movie, and it's also like a play that's well known. How did you feel now being the assistant director of a bigger play? What was that like?
Right. After doing Bad Blood Blues, I was like, okay, I've learned a lot. This takes a lot of work to do. When I got the job for Last King of Scotland, they do this thing called a whiteboard meeting, which is where in theater is where the production team sort of comes together and share ideas, and the whiteboard would be the set design for what would be one of the ideas. It probably will change. It does change. And I remember coming in that meeting and I was like, oh my God, there's about 15 people in here. And I looked at the whiteboard and it was so big. Like, to me, I just kept quiet. I played it cool. I was like, oh, cool. But I was like, that's a big board, isn't it? I looked at it and I was like, wow, okay, and it had the way it had been designed, and you're like, oh my God, this is inside. I was like, this is crazy. And I was just like, okay, so this is the Premier League. This is so I come in much earlier than I think an assistant director would come in, which I'm very thankful for. And just watching the process of the planning and the ideas changing and becoming different and better, and in collaboration with the director, the producers, the set designers, the costumes, and just watching this thing come together. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna watch and just take this in and give as much as I can where I can. And then when it came to doing actual rehearsals and stuff, Bolahan is a god. He's absolutely incredible. Like his generosity towards me during those rehearsals, just allowing me to what I would have hated, what I would hate to experience as an assistant director, which I hear a lot of assistant directors to experience, is to just be in a room and just be there and not really be of any use or any help. But I really felt like I was part of the team. I really contributed. I really my thoughts were taken seriously, and my ideas, if liked, they were used. If not liked, not used. But yeah, the other thing is working with a huge team of actors. I think it was a cast of 12, I believe, and just seeing how different a challenge that is for a director to directed the cast of 2, and just seeing how Bolahan sort of operated that and dealt with challenges that came his way, and it being a big house, a main house production as well. You know, it was mind blowing, and I think I learned a lot from directing my own show. But God, I learned a lot more from working on Last King.
Oh, that's amazing. I could ask loads more questions on that, but because of time, what's next, John? What are you doing? What are you involved in? What's next for you in this next phase of your life?
Ooh, wow. I feel like I'm just warming up, Sile. Like warming up. This is it's been a crazy time in terms of COVID and whatnot. Because when it broke out, I was like, okay, wow, what do I do now? What's going to happen? So there was a very quiet phase. But in the last sort of month or so, things have kicked up. You know, foundations have been being built for future projects and stuff. There was a news yesterday with English Touring Theatre. Yeah, the English Touring Theatre, which is, I can't wait for that. So that's a writing training, a playwriting training program that I believe you are supposed to write a play for. So by June, this was my first draft. So I'm probably looking at, there's a play coming somewhere. I'm going to write something. It's coming. And also, I'm doing a project with the Remote Theatre Project, which is an American-based theatre company, who I met this wonderful lady in Uganda, and we are working, myself, her, and a Palestinian actor. We are working on co-writing something. So there's another play there being written, and of course we're looking at putting Fargone back on the road when the time is right. So yeah, there's foundations being laid at the moment. I think more details will come.
I like that. So now we're gonna go to questions that the audience has for us. I'm just gonna have a look. If anybody wants to ask a question themselves, if you could unmute yourself, and if you want to put your video on, if you can, just do that and ask John a question. I shall see if I can get the chat going. So does anybody want to ask John a question?
I do.
Go on, yes, please tell us your name.
Hi, John. Yeah, sorry I couldn't join early enough. What's been the biggest challenge of your career so far?
Great question.
Had to be you, didn't it? The biggest challenge of my career. I would say I am understanding the relationship between being an artist and also at the same time and ensuring that as a person, what I'm putting forward is something I want to put forward, but is also reflective of who I am, what I believe in. But at the same time, it is well received and people understand where that's coming from and what that is. That's a line I'm always battling with, and I always ask myself every time I put something out, whether it's whatever it is, I'll ask myself: is that communicating the thing I wanted to communicate? Is it representing me in the way I wanted to represent me, and are people getting it? So it's this triangle between myself, the art, and the audience. I'm still learning how to master that. So it's not one specific thing, I guess. It's multiple things, but it's learning to master exactly that triangle. Then if that answers that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mojisola Alufowoji, for that wonderful question. I think Beverly, I've just seen on the chats, Beverly said that you might have a question. Would you like
Yes.
to unmute yourself and ask John?
Hi. Hi, John. It's Bev. I've been
Hi, George.
following you for ages.
Yes.
I I just wanted to say, you know how much I love Fargone. Have you considered approaching Channel 4 to make a documentary about the making of Fargone?
Ah, I guess that's something definitely worth thinking about. No, I haven't considered. I've considered approaching uh, TV channels and productions and whatnot to make it into a series, but not a
Yes.
documentary. So yeah, that's something I would love to realize. I would love to see come to life, whether it's me who does it or somebody else. I think I would love to see a series that is sort of looking at that world and that experience. That yeah, I would love to see that. So that's something that I've thought about.
Because even, we're the city of Dockfest, and I'm sure Dockfest, I mean, just listening to you now talking about it and the process you went through, I am sure people would be interested to see how you made it, how you came up with it, everything you went through, because it's just stunning. Anyway, that's all.
No, thank you. Definitely something to think about. Food for thought. Thank you for the challenge.
Thank you. And Mojisola puts a thumbs up as well, saying, yep, that's a good idea. On the chat, also see that Stephen Olenda, you asked some questions. Would you like to ask John in person, or would you like me to read them out for you? Oh, sorry, you've got no mic. Okay, so I shall read some of the questions for you. So there is one that says that also, would you think that seeing things from both sides of a director and an actor line up with and they add dimensions to your understanding of a production coming together?
Oh yeah, I think definitely doing one makes you better at the other. Completely. It. I mean, when I direct, I very much I'm trying to work out what the actor is thinking. I'm not telling them, I'm not showing them what to do, because that's for them to figure out. But the fact that I'm an actor myself very much helps. And also when I'm writing as well, I'm very much writing as an actor from an actor's sort of training background. I don't write. I'm not sitting at my desk for all my writing process. No, I'm in the rehearsal room, improvising the hell out of the play. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, I throw it away. That's because I'm an actor. Yeah, definitely. I think doing one helps the other completely. Yeah.
And do you think that you asked a question about being a jack of all trades? Do you think that it's beneficial to be a jack of all trades, or sometimes it can be a bit of a hindrance? So knowing how to direct, write, produce, and all those different things. What do you think about that?
Not produce. No, I refuse to produce. No. That's
Why?
No. That's not for me. I respect people who do it, and thank you. Keep doing it. We need producers. Keep doing it. Thank you. Jack of all trades. At the moment, I think the way theater is going, now you need to be. I think, well, for me anyway. I don't see I see myself as an artist, not just as an actor or a writer or a director. I'm an artist. As an artist, I create something, I make something, and I put it out there. And if that needs to be through writing, great. If that needs to be through directing, great. If that needs to be through acting, great. It's at the time what is needed and required of me. I'm trying to master all three, which is harder, I guess. It's, I mean, if I was only focused on one, then maybe, I don't know, the argument is that I could master that and really know that mastering all three takes more time, but I think it's more rewarding. I think it's where the industry is at the moment to truly, because in terms of making money and feeding yourself, I don't see myself feeding myself just from one of those. I see myself benefit finding jobs in all three whenever the space is there. But what I do is pay attention to what I'm doing at the time. So like, for example, when I wrote Fargone, I was like, cool, I'm not directing it. That is for somebody else to do. That would be a hindrance there. So I have a rule where I can do two things, but those two things can't be, they need to help each other at that very time. Yeah.
Stephen just made a little comment that I think is really lovely. He said that I think I was just thinking about overlapping roles as anything, plus being an actor, it would give you a new perspective, but you didn't want to take on everything, certainly not, and get territorial about it or anything along those lines. But it might be an idea to process through different departments over a longer period of time, so you knew how everything fit together. Is that something you would like to do?
Yeah,
to look at?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, it's, again, I feel like I'm just warming up. There's so much to process and to spend time on, to learn. And I'm still working out how these things fit together. So, no, thank you.
Any final words from you, John? Any final words that you want to tell us or talk about today?
Theatre is amazing. I love it. I'm either doing this or I'm doing this. I'm not doing anything else. Utopia Theatre, thank you for having us. It's been wonderful. It's great to have this platform where we are celebrating African theatre. It's my favorite type of theatre because it's got life.
Yes, again, thank you so much to everybody for listening in. If you've joined us live, thank you. If you're watching this again later, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to John. You've been absolutely wonderful. And please check out Utopia Theatre's website. There's more conversations that you can have a look at different types of African theatre. And I think Moji wants to say something, so I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say thank you to John and thank you, Sile. It's really wonderful to have both of you on this platform. John is an incredible young man, and I know that he would go very far with all of his endeavors. I'm so proud to be associated with him. But also, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Rob. Rob Hart is our technical manager. He's managed to put all this together and make sure that there's no glitch. So we're so ever grateful for his support. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and hope to see you at other Creative Hub events. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.